AI music, vocals, lyrics, arrangements, and the ethical line in the sand. Let's talk about AI in music, not as some futuristic gimmick or existential threat, but as a tool that's already here, already being used, and already forcing us to ask hard questions about what it means to create. I've been writing and recording music for decades, long before algorithms could generate a convincing chorus or mimic a human voice. And I've seen this cycle before: the fear, the backlash, the eventual acceptance every time new technology enters the studio. When multi-track recording was invented, purists said it was cheating. When synthesizers arrived, people claimed they'd kill real musicianship. When digital editing made it possible to fix a wrong note with a click, traditionalists argued it stripped away authenticity. But AI? This feels different. Because for the first time, the technology isn't just assisting, it's generating. It's not a tool in the hands of an artist. It's a machine that can imitate the artist entirely. And that changes everything. So where do I stand? I'm not here to defend AI music as some pure, untapped frontier of creativity. Nor am I here to dismiss it as soulless theft. I'm somewhere in the middle, a musician who sees AI as a collaborator, but one that needs boundaries. Because while I believe AI can be used ethically, even powerfully, in music, I also believe there's a line. And that line isn't just about legality, it's about respect. Respect for the craft, respect for the audience, and most of all, respect for the artists who came before us. Here's how I use AI in my own work. I start with my ideas, my lyrics, my melody, my vision for how a song should feel. Then, instead of waiting for a band to rehearse or a session player to nail a take, I input those ideas into an AI platform. It gives me options, different arrangements, vocal phrasings, instrumental layers. Some are unusable. Some surprise me. And then, crucially, I shape them. I adjust the phrasing, tweak the chords, refine the mix. The AI isn't making the music for me, it's responding to me, the same way a human collaborator would. The difference? Speed. What used to take weeks of back and forth with musicians now happens in hours. And that's incredible. But it's also dangerous. Because the easier it gets, the more tempting it is to let the machine do too much. That's why I draw a hard line at 100% AI-generated music. A song where the lyrics, vocals, and instrumentation are all created by a machine isn't art, it's a product. There's no human struggle in it, no point of view, no lived experience. It might sound polished, but it's hollow. And worse, it risks flooding the world with music that has nothing to say. That's not what I want. I want AI to be a tool that helps me express my ideas faster, not a crutch that replaces them entirely. It is not unlike bringing an idea to the band and hammering out a song. Now, let's talk about the ethics, because this is where things get messy. There's a lot of debate right now about whether AI music is stealing. And in some cases, it absolutely is. Take what's happening with legendary artists whose voices are being cloned without permission, or whose unfinished work is being completed by algorithms. To me, that crosses a line. If an artist didn't consent to their voice being replicated, or if they're no longer here to give that consent, then it's not a tribute. It's exploitation. But what about when the AI is trained on public domain material, or when it's used transparently as part of a human-driven process? That's where things get murkier. If I use an AI tool to generate a backing track based on my own chord progression, is that wrong? If I tweak an AI vocal to fit a melody I wrote, am I cheating? I don't think so. But I do think I owe it to listeners to be honest about how the music was made. Because context matters. People deserve to know whether they're hearing a human performance or a machine's interpretation. And that's the heart of this debate, transparency. The problem isn't that AI exists, it's that it can be used to deceive. When a listener hears a song, they should know whether the voice they're connecting with belongs to a person or an algorithm. They should know whether the lyrics came from lived experience or a dataset. That doesn't mean AI-assisted music is lesser, it just means it's different. And different isn't bad, as long as we're honest about it. So where does this leave us? For me, the future of AI in music isn't about replacing artists. It's about giving them new ways to create responsibly. It's about using these tools to speed up the grind without cutting out the soul. And most of all, it's about remembering that music, at its best, is human. A machine can mimic a voice, but it can't replicate the years of heartbreak, joy, and sweat that make a singer's performance resonate. It can't replace the stories behind the songs. And that's why, no matter how good AI gets, I'll always keep my hands on the wheel. Now that we've established where I stand on AI in music as a tool, not a replacement, let's dig deeper into the ethical dilemmas it creates. Because while I believe AI can be used in ways that respect artistry, there's no denying that it also opens doors to exploitation, laziness, and outright theft. And the music industry, frankly, isn't ready for it. One of the biggest issues right now is consent. When an AI model is trained on thousands of songs to learn how to mimic voices or styles, whose permission was sought? In most cases, nobody's. The datasets used to train these tools are often scraped from the internet, meaning the original artists never agreed to have their work fed into a machine. That feels wrong. Imagine spending your life honing a unique vocal style, only for an AI to replicate it in seconds, with no credit or compensation. That's not innovation, that's appropriation. And it's not just about voices. Think about songwriting. If an AI is trained on decades of hit songs, then generates a new melody that's eerily similar to an existing one, who owns it? The AI company? The user who prompted it? Or the original artist whose work was unknowingly mined for data? Right now, the law doesn't have clear answers. The U.S. Copyright Office has ruled that AI-generated works can't be copyrighted unless they're significantly altered by a human, but what counts as significant? If I take an AI-generated chord progression and tweak it, is that enough? Or does the line need to be drawn earlier, at the training stage? This isn't just a legal issue, it's a moral one. Music has always been built on influence, artists borrowing from each other, reinterpreting sounds, standing on the shoulders of giants. But there's a difference between inspiration and replication. When the Beatles blended skiffle, rock and roll, and classical music into something new, that was creativity. When an AI mashes up their songs without their estate's permission, that's something else entirely. Which brings me to the posthumous use of AI. There's been talk of using AI to complete unfinished recordings by deceased artists, or even to create entirely new songs in their style. To me, this is ethically dubious at best. If the artist didn't consent to it while alive, then it's not their work, it's a facsimile. A well-made forgery, maybe, but a forgery all the same. And while it might be technically impressive, it raises a troubling question: when we let machines finish an artist's legacy, who are we really doing it for? The fans? The estate's bottom line? Or just because we can? This isn't hypothetical. We've already seen AI used to recreate the voices of long-gone singers, often without clear ethical guidelines. And that sets a dangerous precedent. If it's okay to digitally resurrect one artist, where do we stop? Should every deceased musician's catalog be fair game for AI reimaginings? Or do we owe them and their legacies more respect than that? Now, contrast that with how I use AI as an assistant, not a ghostwriter. When I input my own lyrics and melodies into an AI tool, I'm not asking it to impersonate someone else. I'm asking it to help me refine my ideas. That's a key distinction. The AI isn't replacing my creativity, it's accelerating my workflow. And as long as I'm transparent about the process, telling listeners which elements were AI-assisted, I don't see that as unethical. But transparency alone isn't enough. We also need new standards for how AI is trained and used. Ideally, AI companies should license the music they train on, compensating artists fairly. They should also allow musicians to opt out, because no one should be forced to contribute to a dataset against their will. And as users, we should demand these changes. Because if we don't, we're complicit in a system that treats art as free raw material. So where does this leave artists today? In a tricky spot, honestly. AI isn't going away, and it will change how music is made. But that doesn't mean we have to accept a free-for-all. By setting personal boundaries, like my rule against 100% AI music and advocating for industry-wide ethics, we can steer this technology towards something that helps artists rather than exploits them. Because at the end of the day, music isn't just about the sounds we hear. It's about the people behind them. And no algorithm can replace that. The moment you generate music with AI, you step into a legal gray zone, one where the rules are still being written, and where the stakes are high for musicians, tech companies, and listeners alike. Right now, the US Copyright Office has made one thing clear: if there's no human in the loop, there's no copyright. That means an entirely AI-generated song, lyrics, vocals, instrumentation can't be owned by anyone. It's public domain by default. But if a human contributes meaningful creative input, writing the lyrics, composing the melody, or significantly editing AI output, then that portion can be protected. This isn't just bureaucratic fine print. It's a philosophical stance. Copyright exists to reward human creativity, not algorithmic output. And that's causing chaos. Because what counts as meaningful human input? If I use AI to generate 10 vocal takes and pick the best one, is that enough? What if I tweak the phrasing? Change a word in the lyrics? The law doesn't have clear answers yet. But we've already seen the fallout. The legal battles brewing. The Ghostwriter case, in 2023, an anonymous creator dropped a track featuring an AI-cloned vocal mimicking a famous artist. It went viral until streaming platforms pulled it. The argument? The original artist's voice was their trademark, and the clone violated their right to control their own likeness. No lawsuit was filed, likely because the creator stayed anonymous, but it set a precedent: platforms will remove AI vocals that impersonate without permission. Dataset lawsuits: major AI music tools are trained on millions of copyrighted songs. Now, artists and labels are suing, arguing this is mass-scale infringement. One lawsuit compares AI training to unauthorized sampling on steroids. If these cases succeed, AI companies might need to license training data, which could reshape the entire industry. The AI Beatles dilemma: while you're not cloning legends, others are. There are already AI models trained exclusively on the Beatles catalog, generating new songs in their style. Their estate hasn't sued yet, but if they do, it could define whether an artist's style is copyrightable. How this affects musicians like you. You're using AI ethically as a collaborator, not a replacement. But here's the problem: the law doesn't distinguish between your hybrid process and a fully AI-generated track. Until courts or Congress clarify, your protections are shaky. For now, your best defense is: 1. Document your process. Save drafts showing your human input, lyrics, melody sheets, edit logs. 2. Register copyrights early. Even if the AI portions aren't protected, your contributions are. 3. Disclose AI use. Transparency builds trust with audiences and avoids fake human backlash. The system isn't fair. A GarageBand recording live instruments gets full copyright instantly. An AI-assisted songwriter jumps through hoops. But this is the reality for now. Imagine this, a band where the singer is an AI model trained on your voice, the drummer is an algorithm that adapts to your tempo shifts, and the bassist is a plugin that suggests lines based on your humming. This isn't sci-fi, it's happening. And for musicians like us, it's a creative goldmine if used right. How AI is changing collaboration. The instant session musician need a jazz trumpet solo? Instead of hiring a player, there are AI tools that could generate one in your style. It's not the same, but it's fast, cheap, and surprisingly expressive. The end of creative block, stuck on a chorus? AI lyric generators can spit out 20 options in seconds. Most are generic, but one might spark the idea you needed. And then you could rearrange it and finish it to your liking. The global virtual band, AI lets you collaborate with styles you'd never access otherwise. Feed in a Brazilian bossa nova rhythm, a Nashville guitar lick, and a K-pop synth line, mash them into something new. This is truly the new and exciting frontier of exploration. But there's a catch, AI doesn't say no. Human collaborators push back, challenge you, and accidentally stumble into brilliance. AI just obeys. That's why the best use cases are hybrid. I use AI like a sketchpad. It gives me raw material, then I break it, bend it, reshape it, turn it inside out and sideways, and make it mine. The uncanny valley of AI music. Listeners can feel when a vocal is too perfect. The slight hesitations, breath sounds, and emotional cracks that make a performance human are hard to fake. That's why AI vocals work best when edited to sound imperfect. Add manual pitch wobbles, auto-tune backwards. Chop up AI vocals to mimic human phrasing. Record yourself singing along to AI, then blend the takes. The goal isn't to trick people, it's to keep the humanity dominant. Many listeners will reject it instinctively. Here's why. The cheating myth. People romanticize the struggle. A guitarist practicing for 10,000 hours is dedicated. An AI generating a solo in 10 seconds is lazy. Never mind that the listener can't hear the difference, the story matters. I would say, be transparent. One can say, I used AI to speed up the process, but every note was chosen by me. The loss of connection. Fans bond with artists, not algorithms. AI can make a known voice feel cold, even if it sounds identical to a human. A possible fix might be to put yourself in the spotlight. Release studio pictures or video footage showing your creative choices. Fear of the floodgates or the black ooze syndrome, anyone can make good enough music with AI, how do we find the great stuff? Listeners worry about being overwhelmed by mediocre AI spam. What I do is to curate aggressively. I use AI as a tool for quality, not quantity. Not all AI is predatory. Some companies are pioneering ethical models. Licensed training data, tools that use only royalty-free or properly licensed music to train their AI. Opt-out systems, projects that certify AI companies that let artists exclude their work from datasets. Artist-centric platforms that lets you clone your own voice, not others. The bottom line, AI isn't inherently good or evil, it's about how we use it. And musicians like us are the ones who'll define that future. AI demos, the modern cassette tape. There's something sacred about a demo. Not the glossy, label-approved kind, but the real ones, the hissy cassette recordings, the voice memos choked with background noise, the 4-track tapes where the drums sound like cardboard boxes. These weren't finished products, they were blueprints. A way to capture lightning in a bottle before it escaped. And that's exactly how I use AI today. The demo mindset, then and now. Back then, demos served 3 brutal, beautiful purposes. 1. Capture the idea before it vanishes. Ever wake up with a melody in your head, only to forget it by breakfast? Demos were nets for those fleeting moments. 2. Communicate the vision to collaborators. You'd hand a cassette to your drummer and say, "The chorus needs to explode like this," even if your recording sounded like it was made in a wind tunnel. 3. Test the song's bones. Did the bridge actually work? Did the lyrics land? A demo lets you live with a song before committing to studio time. Now, replace the cassette recorder with AI. The purpose hasn't changed, but the fidelity has. An AI demo gives me a polished sketch. Instead of mumbling over out-of-tune guitar, I can generate a convincing vocal take or drum groove. Instant arrangement options. AI can spit out a folk version, a country music remix, or a stripped-down piano take in minutes. Global feedback. Instead of handing a tape to 3 friends, I can upload to YouTube and see which demos resonate. More on that later. But here's the critical part. It's still just a demo. AI hasn't blurred that line for me, but it has for others. The problem, when demos become grifts. A lot of AI music today isn't treated as a sketch. It's framed as a finished product, and that's where things get ugly. Why this happens? 1. The illusion of gloss. AI vocals sound studio-ready, so creators assume they're done. But gloss does not equal depth. A perfectly tuned AI Lennon clone still lacks his lived-in heartache. 2. The speed trap. When you can generate 10 songs in a day, it's tempting to call them albums instead of experiments. 3. The algorithm game. Platforms reward constant output. Why spend months refining one song when AI lets you flood playlists with good enough tracks? The fallout. Devaluation of process. Music becomes content, not craft. Listener distrust. Fans start assuming everything is AI, even human-made work. A creative dead end. If you never push past the demo phase, you never grow. This is why I keep my AI demos obviously demos. Simple videos, no flashy visuals to distract from the song's raw state. Clear labels, AI-assisted demo, human version coming. Intentional imperfections. Sometimes I leave AI's quirks in, a slightly robotic cadence, an odd synth choice, to remind myself and listeners that this isn't the final form. YouTube as the new cassette deck. There's a weird poetry to using YouTube like I used that old cassette tape. Instead of handing a physical copy to a friend, I'm sharing a link. But the goal is the same, feedback, not fame. How I use it. 1. Testing emotional resonance. A demo might sound right to me, but does it feel right to others? Views and comments are my compass. 2. Re-recording with humans, decisions. If demo 1 gets 100 hits and another demo gets 7, then that tells me where to focus my studio time. 3. Keeping myself honest. Public uploads force me to confront a song's flaws. No hiding behind "I'll fix it later." The visual trap. Here's the catch: YouTube isn't neutral. A song's success often hinges on thumbnails, algorithms, flashy video content, memes and trends, not just the music. That's why I strip visuals down to bare essentials. Static image, no flashy edits. Minimal text, just song title plus demo. No clickbait, you won't believe this AI voice. I'm not here to game the platform. I'm here to use it the same way I used that cassette deck. The bigger picture, resisting the AI grift. The music industry has always had grifters, from sound-alike bands to ghost-ridden pop hits. But AI lets grift scale exponentially. So how do we push back? For creators. Label transparently. If it's a demo, say so. If AI helped, credit it. Resist premature release. That AI album might be 10 demos in a trench coat. Protect the process. Use AI to explore, not replace, the human sweat of creation. For listeners. Demand context. If a song moves you, ask how it was made. Reward honesty. Support artists who are upfront about their tools. Stay skeptical, that Lost Linen track is probably BS. Closing thought. AI didn't kill the demo. It just gave us a fancier cassette deck. The question is whether we'll use it to preserve creativity or cheapen it. For me, the answer's clear. My AI demos are maps, not destinations. And I'll keep them that way. Why people hate AI music, and why they're not entirely wrong. Let's talk about the hatred. The instant dismissal. The way people's faces twist when they hear the words AI music. It's not just skepticism, it's revulsion. A deep, almost instinctive rejection. And if we're being honest, they're not entirely wrong to feel that way. Because right now, AI music is caught in a paradox. The better it gets, the less people trust it. The more convincing the vocals, the more listeners feel cheated. They don't just dislike it, they feel betrayed by it. And that betrayal isn't random. It's rooted in three fundamental truths about how we experience music, truths that AI, in its current form, violates without apology. 1. Music is supposed to be human, even when it's flawed. We don't just listen to songs. We listen to people. The crack in a singer's voice when they push too hard. The slight drag of a drummer falling behind the beat. The way a guitarist's fingers fumble during a live take, then recover. These aren't mistakes, they're proof of life. And when music lacks them, it feels wrong. Uncanny. Like a wax figure of a person. AI doesn't struggle. It doesn't want. It doesn't stay up at night replaying a failed take in its head. It generates. It optimizes. And that optimization strips away the very thing we cling to in art, the sense that another human being bled for this. That they're as messy and imperfect as we are. So when listeners hear an AI vocal, no matter how polished, something in their brain whispers, this is a trick. A forgery. A thing pretending to be alive. And they're not wrong. 2. We've been trained to expect a lie. Here's the ugly part, listeners aren't just reacting to AI. They're reacting to the culture that birthed it. A culture where authenticity is performative. Where organic is a marketing term. Where handmade gets stamped on factory products. They've been burned before. Think about it. Auto-tune was supposed to be a subtle fix. Then it became a weapon to erase humanity entirely. Ghostwriters pen songs for artists who've never felt the lyrics they're selling. Streaming farms churn out algorithmically generated sludge to gain royalties. So when AI music arrives, listeners don't think, wow, technology is amazing. They think, of course. Another scam. Because from their perspective, it's just the latest in a long line of fakes. And the worst part? They're not entirely wrong. 3. Liking AI music feels like losing. Imagine this, you hear a song. It hits you, really hits you. The melody lodges in your ribs. The lyrics feel like they were written for you. And then, you find out it's AI. Your brain short circuits. How could something so hollow make me feel so much? That cognitive dissonance turns to anger at the song, at yourself, at the person who made it. Because if a machine can replicate the feeling of human connection, what does that say about real connection? This is why transparency backfires. Even if you tell people it's AI upfront, the moment they like it, they feel complicit. Like they've fallen for a con. And so they reject it harder, not because of the music itself, but because of what it represents, a world where art doesn't need artists. The uncomfortable truth. None of this means AI music has no value. Or that your demos are somehow less than. But it does mean we're fighting against something deeper than sound quality or copyright law. We're fighting the fear that music, one of the last truly human things, is being taken from us. Not by technology, but by the misuse of it. By the button pushers. The grifters. The ones who treat songs like content to mine, not stories to tell. And until that changes, the hatred won't just linger. It'll grow. Why people hate my AI demos, and what they don't understand. I need to talk about the silence. That moment when I excitedly share my latest AI-assisted demo with a friend, and all I get back is a polite "cool, man" before they change the subject. The way my YouTube analytics show people clicking away the second they realize artificial intelligence helped shape what they're hearing. The quiet judgment from fellow musicians who look at me like I betrayed some sacred oath. This isn't just about people disliking my music. This is something deeper, something primal. And after months of trying to understand it, I think I finally do. 1. Music was never just about sound. I've been making music for decades. I know in my bones that what we respond to in a great song isn't just the notes, it's the humanity behind them. That slight vocal crack when a singer pushes too hard. The barely noticeable delay when a drummer leans into the groove. The imperfections that prove a real, breathing human being poured their soul into this. When people hear my AI demos, even though they're just sketches, just starting points, part of them reacts like I've broken an unspoken contract. They feel like I've replaced the sacred human struggle of creation with a machine. Even though that's not what I'm doing at all. The truth is, I'm still putting my heart into every lyric, every melody idea. The AI is just my collaborator now, like a bandmate who never sleeps and always shows up ready to work. But I get why that distinction gets lost. 2. The uncanny valley of creativity. There's something deeply unsettling about AI music, even when it's good. Maybe especially when it's good. When my demos sound too polished, too close to real music, they trigger this visceral reaction in people. It's like when you see a robot that looks almost human, that slight wrongness makes your skin crawl. I've noticed the better my AI-assisted vocals get, the more resistance I face. People can't articulate why, but they feel tricked. They wonder, did I actually connect with this, or was I manipulated by algorithms? That doubt turns to anger, and since I'm the one who made the music, that anger gets directed at me. What hurts most is that they're missing the point. These aren't finished products trying to fool anyone, they're blueprints. Rough drafts. The modern equivalent of those hissy cassette demos I used to make in my bedroom. 3. Why even my friends won't listen. This is the part that really keeps me up at night. My oldest music buddies, people who used to give me brutally honest feedback on my rawest recordings, suddenly clam up when I send them an AI demo. At first I took it personally, but now I understand. They're not rejecting me. They're rejecting what AI represents to them, the fear that everything they've sacrificed for, every hour spent honing their craft, could be rendered obsolete by machines. They are still practicing and playing music, playing out often. When they hear my demos, they don't hear my years of experience guiding the technology. They hear the ghost of their own irrelevance. And so they shut down. They change the subject. Not because they don't care about me, but because they care too much about music itself. What I wish they understood. Here's the truth about what I'm doing. Every song still starts with me, my lyrics, my melodies, my emotional intent. The AI is just helping me explore ideas faster than I ever could with human collaborators. Where it used to take weeks to arrange a demo with bandmates, I can now iterate in hours. But crucially, and this is what gets lost, I'm still making every creative decision. I'm still the artist. The AI is just my instrument, as much as my guitar or piano ever was. These demos aren't attempts to replace human musicians. They're love songs to the creative process, a way to keep ideas alive until I can record them properly. When I post them online, it's not to pass them off as finished work, but to test which ones resonate before investing in studio production time. I know why people are scared of AI music. I'm scared too when I see how it's being abused and used as a grift. But what I'm doing isn't part of that problem, if anything. It's pointing toward a solution. A way for artists to harness this technology without losing our humanity. The silence still stings. The knee-jerk rejection still hurts. But I'm not giving up, because someone needs to prove there's a right way to do this. And if that someone has to be me, so be it. An Old-Songwriter's time machine. At the end of the day, I'm just a songwriter. The same as I've always been. I still scribble lyrics on napkins. I still chase melodies in the quiet hours. I still believe in the magic of a song that comes from somewhere deeper than thought. The only difference? Now, when inspiration strikes, I have a time machine. AI lets me reach backward to pull unfinished ideas from the past into the light before they fade. It lets me leap forward to hear rough sketches fleshed out in ways that used to take months or years of trial and error. But the heart of it? That's still mine. Still human. Still flawed and honest and reaching for connection. This isn't about replacing the old ways. It's about preserving them, about making sure the songs in my head get to live before I don't. So yes, I'll keep using this strange new tool. Not because I want to be part of some revolution, but because I'm just an old-fashioned songwriter, stepping into the future, one demo at a time. The music always mattered. It still does. And as long as I'm the one steering this time machine, it always will.